Hello and a very warm welcome back to Widowed AF. You're here with me. I'm your host. I'm always here. It's Rosie Moss. Joining me today, ladies, I've got a man in the house. Welcome to the show, Ric Hart. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well. Thank you for asking me to come on.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And I'm glad we finally got to speak. Now, Ric, you have your own sort of platform talking about grief, which is really, really amazing, especially to have a man in this sort of, I think I described to you as this sort of niche arena that we're in.
Yeah.
Because men are notoriously not as forthcoming about talking about their emotions. And I'm very lucky. I have had quite a few male guests on the podcast, and they always bring a really different perspective. So welcome once again. And we are going to talk a little bit about what you've been doing, because you've got a podcast and you've written, you've just said 7 books. Wow.
Yeah, I'm a published book author. I've got 7 published books out, 5 children's books and 2 adult books, which was all wrapped around my deep grief and my grief journey and my steps towards healing and acceptance.
But what an incredibly healthy and helpful for other people way to process your grief. I really admire you. The listeners will know that I've written a book and it's currently with publishers, and we're going through we're currently doing the cover design, which is the sticking point, because
I know exactly where you are at this point. But yeah, it's a journey. It's a good one.
I can't relinquish any control at all. So 7, wow. Now, but primarily you're here to tell me your story, and I know snippets of your story because I follow you on Instagram, so I know some bits, and it's a real tragic one, this one, isn't it? Now, your wife Jade died very shortly after giving birth to your son Hugo, who was your first and only child.
8 hours after birth in 2018 at a hospital. So, as I'm sure most can relate to loss, certainly, I have then lost my soulmate, and then at the same time I've got a newborn. I was old.
Looking at you with those big eyes, hi Dad, it's just me and you.
Yeah, it's and as I'm sure you can imagine, it's very difficult going back to certain parts through your sheer trauma and shock. But life ended. Life ended, but started like in the most narrowest of gaps in terms of hours. Jade gave birth to Hugo at 10:10 at night, and hours later she passed away the following day. And Jesus, I survival mode. I don't even think was the word for it. It wasn't even the word for it.
I mean, Ric, what happened?
Well, to talk about the bird's eye view, Jade should still be here. The decisions around Jade's care were negligent, and the hospital's decisions and people's decisions in amongst Jade giving birth, pre and post birth, was basically just all a mess. And unfortunately, it was one bad decision on top of the other, and Jade died. The care and attention, the decision making, when you look at some real specifics around Jade's care, she was in labour for probably hours on the Sunday evening when she gave birth to Hugo at 10:10. So, but when you look back at things, we requested an epidural. Jade should have been given that epidural. That would have changed everything completely. I say to myself, if that epidural was given, would Jade still be here? More than likely. And unfortunately, through that process of drugs given, drugs not given, it was decisions made by people around Jade, and what led really to Jade's death was it was a full uterine inversion, which is very, very rare, extremely rare. Which is why I say, the hospital held their hands up in 2019, and there was some there was some guidelines broken, there was some bad decisions, and that is it really. I think really that's all I want to sort of discuss at this stage anyway, around the passing of Jade. But it was a mess. Jade shouldn't have died. We live in a developed country, with with all the resources and tools, but unfortunately, our NHS is extremely strained in terms of labour, and there was poor communication, there was no teamwork, it was a mess.
I'm so sorry, Ric. And yeah, I mean, I had a particularly traumatic birth with one of my children, and it was pretty close for both of us. Obviously, we're here to tell the tale, but having seen how poor decision making, not being heard, not being listened to as a woman in labour, how very vulnerable you are, and how scary that is. I feel desperately sad for you and for Jade. Would you like to tell me a little bit about Jade, how you met, what kind of a person she was? I'd like to know about her if you're happy to share.
Yeah, so I met Jade when she was 17 and I was 18.
Oh,
so, yeah, she was at college, I was at sixth form, and we met then. And the short story is, of course, you have challenges through certainly sixth form, college, university. We both went to university. And then, after that, Jade went off to do an unreal traveling trip. And I think I was very much focused on building the foundation. I was very much focused on, I didn't have a great deal of it when I was young in terms of money. And I wanted to start my career really young after my degree straight away and get into a job, get my feet under the ground, or certainly on the ground, and start building from there. Really. So I was really career and driven. And Jade was like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm going traveling. I'm off. I'm out of here." So I'm so glad she did all of that. And then after that, we came together, and life evolved and moved on very quickly. And then the rest was history. We had good careers, we had great lives, we went on lots of holidays. We were a power couple, very much so. And yeah, and then we wanted to leave bringing a baby, having a family, sort of like late on through our lives, because we were so career driven, both of us at that point, through our 20s and early 30s.
What were you doing for work? I'm nosy. I like to know all the details.
So I was in sales management. So I went into sales. I was in sales management. I ran, various telesales and sales operations through my 20s, and was quite high up and did very, very well. I was quite well established in the Sheffield area, and yeah, and that was very much in the insurance world, really, private medical healthcare. So funnily enough, so yeah, that was what I was doing. And Jade had an amazing career. So she kind of went from, how can I say this in the best possible way, rags to riches throughout her career. So one minute she's pushing, coat hangers in House of Fraser, which is, we've all got to start somewhere. Everyone's got to start somewhere. And then, a few years later, she's then looking after all the shopping centres in the UK and some over in America, and worked for a very well established business in retail and footfall analysis. So yeah, she had an awesome career, Jade, and she, certainly, what I saw day to day, she just winged it all, but she smashed it.
She'd found her niche. She'd found what she was.
Yeah. She was good at what she did. She was a people person. She was a great interactor. She had the likability, and yeah, she could just make things happen. So that was.
So how old were you guys when you decided to try for a baby?
Yeah, that was sort of like early 30s. Jade had a miscarriage, early 30s, and then we decided straight after that, let's go off to Thailand. That'll solve all our problems. And yeah, it did help. We went off to Thailand, and toured the whole west coast of Thailand and did loads of other beautiful spots. And then came back, and then things evolved from there. And Jade fell pregnant in 2017 and gave birth to Hugo in July 2018. And then obviously life completely changed on the 8th of July. Completely.
I'm picturing this, the moment that you leave the hospital with your baby, and how, woman sort of staggers out, and the man's holding the car seat, looking really proud. And I'm thinking of you and how you must have left that hospital on your own with the baby in the car seats.
Yeah,
Um,
it's an interesting one, because even in amongst really tough moments, I always try and find a positive, always try and
mhm.
find something. And there's one moment where, I was taking Hugo to the car and I was putting him in, and in my mind I was thinking, oh my God, Jade would be so happy about this, because I watched a YouTube video weeks ago about how to put a baby in properly and all that sort of stuff, and how I found a smile at that moment
Mhm.
2 days after Jade had passed, taking Hugo home. But yeah, I was lost. I was
I bet.
lost. I think that the only thing that I can say really going back there is, yeah, I was lost. I was on the road. I was driving back home, and I had this feeling of, I don't know where I am. I
Yeah.
don't know where I am. I'm lost. What's going on? Um, you know, yeah,
And
it's,
let's be honest, a newborn baby is terrifying as it is.
oh
And you
my
guys,
goodness
you didn't
me.
have any warning either, so it wasn't like
No.
you had some
So I'm in
time
the
to
car and I'm
prepare for
driving home,
something
and
like
I've
that.
got Hugo in the car seat. And, at that point, of course, I didn't have the fancy mirror where I could see his expressions. I didn't have anything. I was just
No.
driving home with a newborn baby.
Did
And
you bring in, friends, family? Did you have support
yeah, I
for
had
them
lots of
at the
support
time?
from
Yeah.
family, both sides. I had lots of support, and I'm truly grateful of that
Ultimately, the buck
support.
stops with you, right? That's
The
what I
book stops with
found
me.
really
You know,
terrifying.
yeah, it was. It was. I didn't. The first night I had with Hugo alone was 3 weeks after Jade died. So family members and different people were
Mhm.
coming and stopping and sleeping over and being with me. That was needed, and I appreciate all of that
Mhm.
from anybody that came and supported, alongside me supporting them as well in some shape or form. Um, but there comes those moments where you go,
It's just us now, kid.
I just gotta take day by day, and I did. I didn't take day by day. I took hour by hour,
Yeah.
and there's some major, major power in breaking time down, because we always look at the mountain. We always look at, oh my God, that's a million miles away. How the
Yeah.
hell am I going to get to there? Look, if you break it down, which I have learned and got a lot of wisdom about through the last 7 years, you can do anything. And I took hour by hour, and I was in trauma, shock, tragedy, feeding Hugo every 2 hours as a
I
baby.
know. Like,
I
of
was
all the
having
things when you're grieving.
I was having 2 hours sleep, 3 hours sleep a night. I was 9 to 10 nappy changes a day. The emotions at those moments early on, oh my God, it was beyond putting it into words.
And you find yourself, because my youngest daughter was 6 months when Ben died. So,
Mm,
although not quite as tiny as Hugo, a
yeah,
very similar timeline, actually, she was born in September. It, you find yourself projecting so far ahead. I was thinking, who's going to give her away at her wedding? And of course, this is that mountain that you're referring to. It's
yeah,
thinking, things like, how will I pay for university fees? Right, they're 7, 5, and 6 months. You've got a while.
yeah,
You think, right, how am I going to get them to school in the morning? What's breakfast going to be? You think it's those little steps, each one. And you're right. It's that kind of how do you eat an elephant thing, isn't it? One bite at a time. You can't, you've got to manage your own spiraling, chaotic mind at this time.
yeah. And do you know what as well? Like, even when I look back, even when really look back, and I've done a lot of reflecting over the years, and it's been a process and a journey and a must through my life. And I look back, and God, so many moments of holding Hugo in tears. Tears are
Mm.
just falling down my face. falling onto my son, and I'm milking him. And yeah, it was a mess. And also as well, like, as most guys find it quite difficult to communicate and talk. Oh my goodness me, like, as time went on for me, I just closed even more because there were so many things that were happening through my life, which I talk about in my podcast reel with Ric. But there's so many things that were happening. I didn't know how to express or talk about it or put it into context. It was things that were happening in the mind, but they just couldn't come out verbally with structure. So I just closed and closed and closed. But I think when we're swinging from the gutter and we're in one of the worst situations faced with in life, and certainly our worst situation by far, there is only one way, and it's up. I look back now, and I'm nearly 7 years on from the loss of Jade, and I look back at my journey and go, things couldn't have got any worse. It takes a lot for something, someone, or whatever to really hit me, because I've been through one of the worst things that can be thrown at a man.
So in this kind of really bleak time, your support, they've moved out. Presumably people are still around if you need them, but presumably you've been able to take a leave of absence from work.
So I was self-employed. I had my own insurance brokerage under an umbrella. So I had to pass my book of business and everything in the pipeline to that setup and that network, and I had to walk away from my career. So, when you look at Jade lost her life, I lost my soulmate, Hugo has lost his mother, I lost my career. I tried to get back into it 2 or 3 months after, but I couldn't do it. Do you know what I said to myself? I said to myself, the most important thing above anything on this planet is being here for your son and being a solo full-time dad and just turning up the best you can. Yeah. Even if you woke up and go, I'm a mess today, I'm a mess. You've woke up, you've turned up. And it was trying to
even if it's the babies on the TV all day, you're there, right?
Tiny games. So, I said to myself, right, I'm just going to be full time to Hugo and devote as much as I can through this process. And I'm nearly 7 years on, and I'm still solo daddy. It's still my primary job. I do other things now. I run different businesses. I do all sorts. But
in those early days when they are tiny and they need you, and I don't know whether you had something similar. So I remember, like you, I was feeding the baby, I'm crying, I'm sad, the house is sad, everything's sad, trying to kind of keep shit going for the boys. Yeah. And I think something happened, I don't know what it was, and I just thought, I can't let this baby grow up sad. I can't do this. And so I started going out to like baby yoga and, all those really pointless things you do with your baby. And doing the, wind the bobbin up and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. There's nothing more kind of sobering than sitting in a church hall singing wind the bobbin up when you're the person you love the most in the world is dead, right? But you do what you've got to do. And I think, yes, because children pick up on so much, don't they? And I always used to worry, how much will she have absorbed? Will she grow up with this kind of sadness around her? And I'm hoping, much like Tabby, your little boy from what I've heard about him from you, is that he's a well-adjusted, happy child. And I look back now on those 7 years and think, how the fuck? Like, how are they okay? And and I'm not diminishing the loss. I'm not. They will always be carrying a grief. But what you have to try and do is not let it define them. Like, it's something terrible that happened, but they can still have a good life. Yeah. And I'm just thinking those milestones, first day of school, nursery, all those things, they're such huge things to do on your own. How did you find all that?
I think one thing for me is I quite early on had this shift in my mind going, you've got to go on to do something pretty incredible. I had to as well think, I know this sounds a bit crazy, but I had to think I was some sort of superhuman. I had this ability, placed in a very different situation, to go on and achieve unreal things. And it started a few months after Jade died, and I went, I'm going to flip this switch, and I'm going to devote everything to flipping this switch, to turning the worst, or one of the worst things that could happen to a guy, into something unreal, something inspiring, something that people can just go, wow. And it started from there. And also as well, and my second point on what you're saying there as well, is I was focused on, I need to be the best version I can, not only for me but for my son, because if I'm not the best version, guess who's gonna feel the repercussions of that? My son. So, and it didn't always go like that, but I look back in the last 7 years now and go, it pretty much went like that. I had to go, how are you filling yourself up to basically add value to your life and what is going to impact your son's life? And that was the most important thing. And I tell you what, right now, it still is the most important thing. Hugo Hart is the most important thing. So I have choices and I do things, and I'm very wise about what I do and how I do it. But ultimately, it's to help him grow. And I very much focus on the things that I've done over the years, because that's my focal point. That's what's important to me. That's what lights me up. The author journey, the podcast, the things that I went on to do. I went and did a massive running journey, which I'll talk about as well. I did a huge running journey. I went and ran a marathon in memory of Jade. It did so much for me
Me
inside.
too. Not for Jade, obviously. That'd be weird.
To then move on, and then you go into the lockdown, and then I started to write. But that's my focus. And as you know, grief is a mess. You are in so many different elements of grief, but I do believe that it's the decisions we make and the choices we make which put us in the best place. It's not just going, I hope time sorts this out and I hope time deals with this. I'm not that person. I had to be proactive. I had to create and carve a completely different direction to then put me in acceptance and peace, which is exactly where I am today.
It's almost like we've got to create something good from the ashes, haven't we? We've
100%.
got to do something, otherwise
100%.
we cannot let that enormous loss be in vain. And I think that's why so many of us go on to raise money, be it marathons or bake sale, whatever your poison is. I should probably have gone bake sale. Whether you set up a podcast, whether you write a book, whether you go out into grief coaching, supporting widows. There's a lovely term one of my guests used called grief Sherpa, which is where you just share the knowledge that you have with other people. They come to you if they're grieving, and and people, you get told that you're doing amazing things, but I think it's something really innate in us that wants to help, because we know what it feels like to be, as you described, in the gutter, looking up and thinking, shit, where the hell do I go from here?
Yeah. I think also as well, you learn a lot about yourself through loss. You do. You learn a hell of a lot about yourself. And I look at my early days, and I was very much concerned about others. I was very much wanting to help and support others the best I could. Was I putting myself first? Probably not. Did I have any boundaries in place? No. I was just breathing, just getting out of bed. I tell you what, if I made my bed, that was the achievement for the whole of the day. I'm not joking. So, but things shift and things change, and there's a light bulb moment through your grief journey, and you go, I'm doing me now.
Yeah.
I need to fill me up. I need to inject as much self-love and self-growth and self-care as I can, because it's so important for me and for who's below us. And it's that simple funnel. I need to fill me up the best I can, and then Hugo benefits. And it stayed with me for years. And it doesn't always go like that. Of course, you can naturally go back to different elements within your grief, and that's just your mind and life. And I carry my grief with me the rest of my life. But we have to change. We have to make a decision to say, I am not sitting in anger or bitterness anymore, because it's quite easy to sit there and stay there. In my situation and what happened to Jade, if I sat in anger and bitterness for the rest of my life, most people looking in would be like, yeah, acceptable.
Of course.
Absolutely acceptable.
Of course.
But it's a choice. I don't want to be there. I choose to keep challenging myself and doing different things to keep growing. And the person I was 5 years ago to where I am now, I'm not the same Ric Hart I was 5 years ago. And am I going to be the same guy in 5 years' time to where I am today? Definitely not.
Weirdly, I like widowed Rosie more than unwidowed Rosie. I didn't realise it. Bit of a twat before. Bit of a naive twat. Thought the whole world was, good place, that good things happen to people.
Yeah,
How do you find things like play dates? Okay, so this is something I talked to John about.
This is a good one.
Because people do tend to shy away from the single dad. I mean, it's maybe, I don't know whether it's different because you've got a son. So, but yeah, talk to me about how that manifests.
So let's talk about the norm.
Mm-hmm.
A mum has a baby,
mm-hmm.
and that mother goes to baby classes, baby setups, meeting mums, mingling, socialising, sharing tips.
Like the mum network.
Mum network. The list goes on. I had to try and go, well, how can I be this person? How can I be mummy? And I'll tell you something, it was, and I'll never be mummy, but I do my best to wear all the different hats. I do my very best.
Same, but the other way around.
It was really difficult, but it was difficult for other people around me as well, because, I walk into a room and there's 20 mums with babies, and I'm the guy that walks in.
Is it still that way? I wondered if it perhaps had got more, maybe since COVID, Hugo, now people work from home.
Hugo's nearly 7 now.
So of course.
You got to go back now 5-6 years. Back then, honestly, I couldn't have stood out more like a sore thumb.
Especially in Sheffield.
Well, anyway. but also as well, of course people go, oh, dad coming to this. Oh, the only guy. Right, okay. And then also where I was within myself, and I'm like, oh, do I really have to share this? I lost my wife hours after birth.
It's like a trauma dump, isn't it?
Honestly, I have to lift people's mouths up from the floor, and then they go really quiet, and then the conversation.
The whole mood is ruined. Everyone was having a nice morning.
I'm sat there in amongst a group of mums, and I'm like, "Get me the hell out of here! Get me the hell out of here!" Like, so that's a snippet in terms of a whole heap of what that was, which was just pretty much a mess. And and then also as well, like, it was quite hard to collaborate and go on play dates with mums, because, well, the husbands aren't really going to like it, are they? I was
going to say, yeah.
So that didn't happen, for various different reasons. But yeah, so it just honestly, right, I've had to contend with as you will relate to 1,001 situations and scenarios, and keep working it out in my brain and keep going and keep surviving and breathing. It is a miracle that I am still here.
What about the school WhatsApp chat? Are you in the school mum's WhatsApp chat?
No.
Are you not?
No.
Nicely done.
Do you know what, right? I keep myself to myself. I do.
Although I've never
even though I'm really active on the socials, and I do lots of things for different reasons to help, support, inspire, all that sort of stuff, I'm quite a private person. And that's okay. That's okay. But when I say that, like, I have a very small circle, so I'm very selective in what I talk about and what I share and whatnot. But yeah, it's just sort of the journey that I've been on, and obviously, of course, with what I've been through, so hard for people to relate. How do you relate to that? How does someone come and try to be the best version of themselves for me to support me. You know what? I say this now to anyone that wants to support someone through loss, and it's this: just be a good ear. Do not judge. Do not judge. Do not talk about what you're talking about to other people, and literally be there through the good times and the bad times. And honestly, it's those four things.
Yeah.
And I throw that and go, you want to support someone through grief? You follow those four steps.
Because the
And if you
judgment's a
do it,
big
and
one, isn't it?
if you do it with genuinity, you'll be with them for the rest of their life. And unfortunately, I've just not had a lot of that, sadly.
No, I found that the judgment really quite difficult because particularly I drank very, very heavily. I was a problematic drinker before, but it really kind of exacerbated after Ben died. And I was making some pretty stupid choices. Nothing harmful for the children and anything like nothing, requires intervention, but I wasn't my best self, shall we say.
Yeah.
And friends kind of turn their backs and, I get it to a certain extent, but I would just wish the world was a bit kinder to people who are grieving. There's this sort of expectation that you will have your, regulation 3 months or whatever it is of sorrow. You'll go back to work or you'll, get back into life. And then, you can sort of mention it on anniversaries and things like that. And I don't mean to dismiss the amazing people out there who will listen to me talk about Ben 7 years on without questioning, but you do feel like you're under public scrutiny quite a lot, under the microscope a bit. And I don't know if you're comfortable talking about dating at all, but, that's quite a contentious issue around widows and, when everybody's got an opinion, yet nobody really, how can you tell somebody when to fall in love?
There's two things that you're saying there. What I'm taking, people and dating. So we'll start with people. So I think for me, what's been really difficult throughout the past few years is it's one of the hardest challenges someone has to go through when they have been hit with trauma, tragedy, loss, and that's people navigation. And some people are gonna stay, some people are gonna go, some people are gonna get pushed off the train, some people will come back over time. But I think through my personal journey, it's been sort of like on the lines of, oh my God, I would never have said that. I would never have done that. And it stays with you for a while, and it's a hard pill to swallow. But you do grow from all of that, because there is a part in your grief process that you get wrapped up a little bit about, worrying what people think. I'm not there anymore. I used to be there years back, but I'm not there anymore. And I think when you're not there, you are really moving forward in such positivity. So it's just been my personal journey. It's been quite difficult because of the things that I've been faced with, situations that I've been placed in. I live a very different life to most. I make different decisions in amongst my life, very different decisions to most. And it's been very difficult to navigate and move through all of that process. But, it is what it is. And, but I just want everyone to win. I just want everyone to do well, but people navigation is challenging. It's tough. I've walked away from a number of people in my life over the last few years, and I've had to do it, unfortunately.
Self-preservation.
And I'm still okay with all of that now, very much so. I'm very proud of the courage and the strength that I took to make some decisions that I made throughout my life. I wish everybody well, genuinely. But there comes a moment through our lives when we decide who we want in our lives and why. And a lot of us, unfortunately, sometimes have a few individuals, hanging around your heels that are actually really bad for you. And it goes back to my simple funnel. I need to be the best version I can for me and my son because I put my son first. It is as simple as that. So people, it's tough. It's tough because you can be with someone and they say something and you go home and go, oh, what the hell? You have no idea. You have,
They don't have any idea, do
no
they?
idea. And do you know what? They don't have an
No.
idea. They have no idea, right? But the thing for me is this is going to happen to all of us at some point in our lives. And a lot of people in the future are going to turn around and go, how the hell? How the hell, Ric? I know I've been with you through your journey, but how the hell did you do all this? I need you. I need you. But
And what about dating? Go on, give me the.
And then okay. So the second thing on dating, how long you got? I could write a book about this. It might be my eighth. Again, it's another element of the roller coaster, a mess, learning more about you, what you want, what you're going to compromise on, what you're not going to compromise on, what's going to work for you, what's not going to work for you. And unfortunately, it turns into a bit of trial and error. I don't even know how to say it in the best possible way.
And that's really difficult when you've got kids, isn't it? Because you're not, you have to be. Your time is so precious.
Yeah,
it's
I've had experiences with women. I have in many different situations, and fortunately for me, I walked away from all of it, and again, it's just a learning curve. You just kind of go, well, I don't know what it's like to be in that situation or that scenario, and you do it anyway, and you learn from it.
There's fascination, right, as well, because that didn't exist when I met Ben.
Yeah, well, life's full of lessons and blessings, and we ain't got the answers. I've said this. I talk about this on Real with Ric. We ain't got the answers in the present. You haven't. Trust me, you haven't. So you have to literally go, shit, I've got to jump on this roller coaster, and it's anxiety. It's so much, that there's a lot of physical and mental going off, and it's just a bit of a mess. So I look back and think I started dating, and I think I pushed it a bit too sooner than what I probably should have, because the emotions, the guilt, the feelings, the connection, and also as well, a lot of people find it very difficult to then be with someone like us because of what we've been through, our feelings, our emotions, what we talk about, how raw we are, how honest we are.
The fact we still love them.
Yeah, the things we've gone on to do. My love for Jade will never end.
No.
It's going to be there for the rest of my life. Like, I carry my grief with me. She's with me every day, and she'll be with me till the day I die. Like, but a lot of people find that difficult. And that's just life. So, and unfortunately, I've come across a lot of that. And also as well, look at things that I've done, things that I've gone on to do, my author journey, my podcast. I went on a big media journey as well through some of the stuff that I've done. And it's a lot for some people to come and sort of connect with. And I live a very different life to most. So it's difficult. And but I tell you something, I'm 7 years in and I know exactly what I want and exactly what I don't want. And I am so grateful of jumping on that roller coaster 5 years. I'm so grateful of the things that I went on to do and the people that I connected with, and genuinely coming out of it all, there's nothing but love in amongst all of that. There's nothing but love in my heart. I mean, like I've taken so much from it all, and I am grateful for all of that journey because it's led me to today to knowing what I want. And when you know what you want and you've got your stall out, then
what do you want, Ric?
Well, of course we all want to find our second chapter. We all want to find that special person. We do.
And I think when you're widowed as well, because you didn't fall out of love with them in most cases, or some cases, you want that, right? Nothing else is going to do. But I do think there's also that you talk about perhaps dating too soon, and I think often when you are, again, when you very much love them, you want to recreate that. You want to find that again, and you kind of get a bit blinded with this need to you know what love feels like, right? You want it again. But yeah, I think it's a really, really tricky subject, because when is too soon, when is not too soon, because we're humans, we have human desires, we're aware of the phenomena of widow's fire, and also that dopamine, like even just talking to somebody online, like that gives you that dopamine response which you're craving, and you're fucking lonely, right, if you're on your own with a
The
kid.
thing is, though, you say, I was like, of course, what's happened to me and the things that I've gone on to do, I'm different. I'm different. I accepted that one a long time ago. I'm different,
Oh
which
yeah.
is quite hard for people to connect. But you've got to jump on the roller coaster. You just got to get on with it. You just got to have no idea where this is going to go or whatever, and you duck and weave, and But the one thing I don't compromise on is, Jade died, and she's still very much a part of mine and Hugo's life. We don't talk about Jade all the time, but the times we do, I have a few images around the house. They're very special to me and very special to Hugo. And I think one thing I can't have in a relationship is somebody that's holding some major insecurity. We've all got insecurities. We all hold a level of insecurity in amongst who we are. But I think what I can't have is someone that's quite heavy with that. It's someone that is secure and confident and has gone on their own journey and knows who they are and what they want. Look, we're not perfect. None of us are perfect.
Apart from me, obviously, Ric.
But that's where it's at.
So you talk a bit about the journey that you've been on and the sort of self-discovery and the work that you've done on yourself. These are words that I never thought I would say in my life about myself. I've been on a journey, I've done the work, I meditate, I do that ice bath, and somehow over the last few years, I've become that person, because it's about that choice. We come back to the choice all the time. And in order to get better, you mentioned something earlier. You can't just sit and wait. You can't. Time heals to an extent, but you have to unlock that box and have a little look at those demons, stare them in the face, file them back again. So I'm just wondering what strategies, what methods you've used to kind of help you, because you must have had some therapy.
I'll try and put this in the shortest form. So going back to 2018 and 2019, I went on a massive running journey, 10Ks, half marathon, and led to a full marathon in October 2019.
Which one?
The Yorkshire, up at York. Yeah.
I did Manchester. I was wondering if we were there at the same time.
Yeah. So I did that in October 2019, and it was a big moment for me, crossing that line, running the best part of 4.5 hours, 5 hours.
I was a little slower than that.
Well, actually, I was on for about 4 hours, 15, 20 minutes, but the last half an hour, it took me I think it took me a mile. It took me about half an hour to do a mile.
Like running through treacle. And then I made this stupid decision on the final bit to take my daughter and carry her across the finish line, but it was further than I realised.
Oh, yeah.
My eldest son's hands sort of limping.
I can feel your pain. I can feel that, definitely. So, but it was a moment for me, a real personal moment to go. It was a moment of, you're taking this journey alone. And the more we take this journey alone for our own growth, for us, the better place we will be in. And again, that stayed with me for a long time. So I went on this massive running journey in memory of Jade, and a lot of people joined me as well with the 10Ks and the half marathon. But the marathon,
find out who your real friends are, who'll come out for a run with you.
But the real showdown was the full marathon for me, going the full length, which I did. And then obviously you get to the end of 2019 and you move into 2020, and we get hit with COVID. We get hit with the pandemic, the complete shift and challenge.
Ideal for mental health.
Well, I had elements of isolation anyway in 2018, so there's still elements of that.
Oh, you were hermiting. You'd have loved it, yes.
And relating to that. But also at the same time, I kind of caved and fell into even more depression and a really shit state of mind, because at that point in 2020, I felt like I wanted to open up more. I wanted to do things. I wanted to meet people. And then it just went all crashing down.
So
So,
another
but
choice is taken away from you, basically.
yeah. But the thing is, again, flipping that negative into a positive, which I do my very best at with most things, I saw it as an opportunity. And bear in mind, I ran hundreds and thousands of miles over the last year in memory of Jade, with lots of things playing through my mind, and I just had so much vision about doing so many different things. And I just thought, that's it. This is the journey. I opened up the laptop, started writing a story of me and Jade. I started Hugo's first children's book, Hugo and Daddy's Nighttime Adventures. Started some sketches and some working out some poetry and all that sort of stuff. And that evolved through lockdown. And then the short stories. Hugo's children's book was the first book published, Hugo and Daddy's Nighttime Adventures, which got to the second bestseller on Amazon.
Wow.
Raised some money for the national charity cruise. And then I released my first adult book, Puppy Love, which was my autobiography of the life of me and Jade and our journey through life, and which ends on my grief and my loss. But I
We'll
still
put
had all
some
these.
links in the show notes as well for these.
But yeah, I still had like all these other ideas going off, and I was like, there's more. Honestly, my creativity just went bang. Seven, as I've said now, 7 published books. I was the fastest growing author nationally between 2020 and 2023 with 7
Wow.
published books post COVID. And that's just one hell of an achievement in itself. But I had all these other ideas and I acted on them. And it was all around Hugo's children's books. Short version is there's 5 now. Hugo and Daddy's Nighttime Adventures, Hugo and Daddy's Thailand Adventures, Superhero Adventures, Christmas Adventures, and School Adventures. The School Adventures ended the children's book and the saga of Hugo and Daddy's. And it was the journey I went on with all my ideas and creativity. The Nighttime Adventures is very much heavy on the loss of Jade and very much a bereavement children's book. Thailand Adventures is wrapped around just pure adventure and taking Hugo on all the steps that I did with Jade years back. And we got married in Thailand as well. Superhero Adventures, I turned Hugo into a superhero with some
I bet he
real.
loved that.
It's just, I called him Heart's Hero because he's Hugo Hart, Heart's Hero, and then the H symbol for a sign for hope, which I've got tattooed on my arm here as well.
Oh, nice.
And that's trademarked as well. That's my sign. No one can take that away from
So
me.
it's my bird as well. I've got my own bird tattooed on myself.
Yeah. So, and then Christmas Adventures was another beauty, and School Adventures, which is just basically me taking Hugo to school and picking him up, and turned it into magic for him in terms of how he thinks and feels about going to school. And these are all past. I'm a non-profit book author, by the way. I don't all these projects, all these books that I've done has cost me tens of thousands of pounds, and I ain't taken anything back. And all the proceeds just get passed to all the charities that I work with, the national and local charities. So, and they're attached to different books as well. So that was an element of my sort of core values of giving back and supporting people that have gone through loss, and sharing my story and journey, and hopefully inspiring people to think differently and start to take action through where they maybe are in their grief journey. But I'll even look back now and go, like, I've got them all in frames in my other room, and I'm like, wow, did I really do all of that?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I did. And then my final adult book, which I brought out in 23, was Grow Through Grief, which is available on Amazon and Waterstones. Probably Waterstones is the best place for it in terms of delivery. But and Grow Through Grief shares 50 months as a snap in terms of my decisions, processes, and feelings straight after the loss of Jade. And it's very visual. There's a lot of images. It's very snappy. There's a lot of quotes, and it ends on what I took from it all. But one other thing that I stepped into through not only my author journey and creating Real with Ric, the podcast, which is 10 episodes of my life after loss, is I'm now a contrast therapy coach. So,
what? Contrast therapy
coach.
Oh, what's that?
So last year I did a diploma in ice baths and sauna.
Oh God, I've got an ice bath, Rick. It's
So
sitting out, so I think this thing's growing in it.
yeah,
I've lost
so
momentum.
so in 2022, in short, 2022 was one of my shittest years. I met someone, I broke up from her. 2022, I was going through a breakup. I was going through 4 months of Jade's inquest in the courts. I had a breakdown. I was people navigation. I was seeing who's really supporting me, who's not, who's being real, who's not. People navigation. I removed some people from my life. I added some people into my life. It was just all a mishmash.
Turmoil.
It was a mess,
Mm.
right? 2022, and I felt I needed something. And I did some research on sort of like alternative methods to therapy because I did have counselling years ago, and it just didn't do anything for me, and I ended that. And I needed to go on this self healing journey, which I was very
Mm.
much going on anyway through the journey of the books and everything that I was doing. But 2022 changed everything. I bought an ice bath, I bought a sauna, and I started to do contrast therapy. So I started to sit in
I
ice
need
bath
sauna.
and go in the sauna straight after, and doing it in a process, which is contrast therapy, completely changed everything. It rebuilt my nervous system. I was, as you know, I'm sat in, 4, 5, 6 degrees of water. You're sat in uncomfortable. So what seemed to be uncomfortable in my life years ago isn't anymore.
Mm.
I'm sat
Do you
here
still
doing
do
this,
it?
talking to you. I could do this 3, 4 years ago. I promise you, I would have been a mess. I would have
Mm.
been, I would have been nervous. I would have been sort of like, it would have been a mess. So I look at that process of 2022 and constantly doing ice bath saunas and doing it 5 times a week, and that whole process, the dopamine, the adrenaline, all the other benefits that come with contrast therapy. Honestly, there is a heap. All people have to do is go to on Instagram, hot and cold therapy, and you can follow my journey on there. But I now work with clients, and they come and have contrast therapy sessions, and I talk to them about the best processes of doing it and why, and some
Hang on. I
benefits.
could be hiring out my ice bath, is what we're saying.
But also, as well, at the same time, I do leave them to it to enjoy it and do their thing. And everyone's different in terms of their tolerance to the cold. Look, I think most people want to do this, and people are aware of there's some massive benefits to ice water and sauna and especially when you're doing them together.
So what
After
kind of
this,
I'm invested in this. Could I get like, the sort of almost they're like 150 quid saunas off Amazon, or are we talking like a proper
yeah,
built-in
so
structure?
so I had the funds to go and really invest in this equipment. So probably have the best equipment going in the
My
country
house is on the market. I probably shouldn't do it just yet,
through
but
the
I've
through.
got one of the proper plumbed-in ice baths.
Yeah, yeah.
But like I say, it's not getting the
Yeah.
most use
So
at the moment.
I got mine through the ice bath company, right? So I've got 2 ice baths and a 2, 3 seater sauna up there together. I've also got my infrared in my gym here as well, which clients can use. Um, so, but that they were costly. They cost thousands and
Mm.
thousands. But I think anyone out there now can go on like eBay. They can buy an ice bath, buy a pump, put them together, and it could cost them 1,500 quid. A sauna, God, I tell people now to go and buy the fixtures and fittings and get a carpenter to build it for you with your stove, where you could fit in maybe 6 people in quite a large sauna, depending on the space you've got. But
Yeah.
you do see these, like you've said there, you do see these zip up. They're kind of like sauna steam rooms. These zip up ones that sort of stand tall,
Mm.
um,
Because
and
we started off with one of the inflatable. This is like an advert for ice baths. We started off with one of the inflatable ones that you put the
yeah,
ice in,
yeah,
and it just became such a pain in the ass to keep putting the ice in it. So then we upgraded it because we were like, "This is life changing." I feel it because, like you, if I can stand and look at 3 degree water, and somehow convince myself to get in it and sit there, I mean, I can take over the world, right?
yeah.
But then the winter comes and it gets cold and you feel better, so you don't have the push to use it anymore. And that's the problem with a lot of these mental health alternative sort of things that we do. When you feel better, you stop doing it. And I am so guilty of that. I can't tell you the last time I did yoga, and I'm deeply ashamed of myself because it brought me so much physical and mental benefit. But life, right?
This is the thing, right? I did exactly the same as what you said there. I got that the sort of plungers for like £100 off Amazon, and I thought, no, Rick, you just get the real deal. So I invested in a proper ice bath with the pump, and it goes down to 2 degrees, and and if you change the temperature, it's pretty much instant change as well. So. But yeah, you're right. Like, honestly, I sit in after this podcast, after this recording, I'm going to have a coffee, chill for 10 minutes, and I'm going to jump in the ice bath and
You're
sauna.
going to get
I'm going
it.
to do a 5 degrees ice bath and have a sauna session, do a 30, 40-minute session. But I tell you something, there's a big difference between plunging and ice bathing. People like go in plunges and start putting ice in and going, I'm having an ice bath. I'm really sorry, you're not. Basically, you've got a thermostat at the top that's surrounded by ice, which is giving you a false temperature read because the rest of it is probably about 13 degrees. So you're having just a cold plunge there, but an ice bath is a total different experience. And I've had people
it's come, high, isn't it, when you get out?
Oh, I've had people come and jump in my ice bath and go, oh my God, I sometimes get in plunges and this is just next level.
Do you jump in or do you go in slowly?
I just jump in.
Do you just literally leap
no
in?
Flinching, nothing, no flinching. Of course, sometimes stand there and have 10 seconds and go, do I really have to do this? The first 10 seconds, 10, 20 seconds.
My foot's lifted over the side, I'm committed. I'm going in.
Yeah.
It's lifting your foot off the floor. But that's like we were saying earlier, it's about those little steps, isn't it? If I can get myself to stand in front of the ice bath, the chances are I'm going in it.
Yeah, like I've got a step and then you step down.
Yeah.
So when I get in a bit, and I tell you what, it's harder doing it on your own than having people around you. It's like most things in life.
If people were watching, I'd show off and do it. Of course I would.
Yeah. So I'd share
sometimes live stream it.
I share sometimes like me plunging on my own, and I share clients getting in and on the Insta page. But it's just like, I'll just step in, step on the stepper, step down, fully submerged. I'll have water up to my neck here, and everyone has it.
My hands out.
I always have my hands in. It's more beneficial to have your hands in, and you literally. And yet, of course, everyone has that 10, 20-second fight or flight, and the brain and the body can't, interlink. And then you find this sort of calmness within your breath. And I sit in there and I meditate, and I sit there and go, I sit there and go, this is really uncomfortable, but actually, you get past all of that, and minute 2, minute 3, minute 4, you're like, oh my God, I'm feeling amazing. The mitochondria is kicking in. Your body's trying to warm itself up and exchange it. Well, you're burning calories, and that's exchanging it for heat. You're not burning loads of calories, but and then you've got brown fat activation. You've got unreal, circulation.
I'll get in it. All right.
It's just amazing.
Hot on Friday. I'll get
the
in
thing
it.
Is, the positive when you're going from ice to hot is you get this constriction and dilation. So you get an unreal level of benefit in terms of blood flow and circulation. And this is the most purest way to therapy, in my opinion. You sit in a sauna 4 to 5 times a week plus, you're removing pretty much dementia, Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease, and stroke. 40 to 50% off your life later on in life, potentially. So, I could talk about this for hours. I could talk about it for hours, but I'm glad that I learned this. I took the decisions and took the action to then get it, move into it, start doing it, and then start really feeling all those benefits. I did a cold water diploma as well last year. And then I thought, right, let's set up Heart Health. Funnily enough, Heart Health was my insurance company years ago.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. And then now Heart Health is my contrast therapy business. So,
you've convinced me. I'm going to inspect it for creepy crawlies. Maybe up the temperature to a nice balmy 5 degrees from a first.
Mine's the same. They're outside, so sometimes a good job I've got the net, because you go, I need to get all those ants or spiders out. But I think all the clients that have come and used this, They don't walk away going, I'm tired, deflated. They
No.
walk away
When
going,
I
I'm
was using
feeling
it
incredible.
regularly, on a warm day, I would, that kind of 3 p.m. slump. So I'd jump in it for a couple of minutes before the school run.
Yeah,
It
I've done
works.
that.
I
I've done
know
that.
it works. Why can't I make my stubborn brain do it? I
Yeah.
think it's I think I'm blaming the
But also as well,
ADHD.
just to finish on with the ice bath, right? It's therapy for me because being a solo parent, trust me, is really challenging. It's really hard because it's just me and Hugo. He's got no brothers and sisters to play with. There's not a lot of real support. When I say real support, there's not a lot of active support where I can palm Hugo off for 2 hours here, there. So it's me and him 24/7. And there's times where I'm like, oh my God, my brain is absolutely thrashed. Cognitive overload. Rick, it's time to jump in.
And that's you're
In
just
the ice
putting
bath.
yourself.
I've
Mm,
been in the ice bath where Hugo's running up to me going, Daddy, Daddy, make my dinner. Give me this. And I'm sat in the ice bath like
yeah,
this.
just
And
zone
then
them out.
and I get out and, I have a shower, dry myself down, get my clothes back on, and literally go, Hugo, Dad's a different beast now. Let's go, kid.
Yeah, it's like a circuit reset, isn't it?
It
Yeah.
is. It is. Yeah.
So, Rick, you mentioned you've got this your health company now. That's what you're doing for work, and you've Hugo's presumably established in school, and
Yeah.
so life is looking. I'm going to say it's looking quite positive for you.
From a business point of view, I've got heart health, and that is very much my passion project. I'm also in property. I have a property business. I'm a landlord, and that sits very much in amongst our lives. And I do various other different things as well, which like everything, you don't share everything online, but I do. I like to call myself an entrepreneur. Put it that way. I do a lot of things, a lot of different things, investing, and growing and compounding and building a foundation for I can't really put this in a better way for generational wealth, really.
Mhm. And trying to find a way of doing that whilst also being present as a primary carer for a child is
So
really tough.
it's challenging. It's really
Because
challenging. Do you know what? It's really challenging. My responsibility is a lot, trust me. And there's ups, there's downs, there's losses, there's wins. You've got to be able to deal with all of that and sleep well at night, and alongside being a solo parent. And God, I look back at it all now and go, right, it was quite easy just going to work and getting paid every month.
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't put it any other way. Like my responsibility outweighs what is the general norm out there, which is where I was years and years ago, which is,
yeah.
people work and they earn and they do the best, and we're trying to all grow in the best way possible we can. But my circumstances and what I have to manage and deal with and make decisions on and navigate, and I'm constantly making decisions. I'll be making financial decisions in amongst my businesses and other things probably for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Well, Rick, it sounds like you are doing an incredible job in the face of an incredible adversity. And I think that, if you are the kind of person that believes that Jade would be looking down, I think she'd probably be pretty proud of how you're raising Hugo.
Oh yeah.
If you've got any advice for anybody, maybe a dad actually, let's talk to a dad who's listening, who's lost their wife or their partner, and they are staring down the barrel of parenting solo.
Mm.
Couple of bits of advice that you could give right now.
Yeah, I think, look, don't be too hard on yourself, and we're all
Mm.
really good at that. And I think it's okay to give yourself a pat on the back, and just take day by day, and let's break all this down. Again, it goes back to that mountain. Let's break it all down. Let's look at, are we getting a 1% growth gain daily? That's all we need. Not 10%, not 50%, 1%. And we want to compound that. So and that's where it's at for me. And I think also as well, take care of yourself.
Mm.
It's okay to do you. It's okay to say no. It's okay to set those boundaries. It's okay to um, just inject pure self love and self care for you, but also as well through a grief journey as well. You do, even though there's massive elements of loneliness. there is. You have to go on this journey of solitude. You have to go on this journey for you, because if you're going to just be constantly worrying about what people think and following, and I don't think you're going to grow from that as much as you could grow from that. So we have to do what's right for us. We have to stand tall on our decisions. We have to have the right people around us, genuine people around us. We have to take care of ourselves and give back. Find a way to give back. It makes you feel good in some shape or form. But also as well, I'll finish on this: peace and good energy. Everything we can work towards acceptance and peace. We can do different things towards acceptance and peace. I wrote, I ran, I wrote, and I did the podcast, and now I do my contrast therapy, and all of that has led me to acceptance and peace within.
Yeah, there's something to be said for being able to look yourself in the mirror, isn't there? I think when you're comfortable in who you are and what you're doing, you know, deep on a sort of cellular level, you know.
Yeah, four walls are four walls, and people can portray X, Y, and Z. I've tried, certainly when I took the turning curve of opening up and writing and doing different things, I just tried to change and give back and grow. And there's more times now there is. I get up out of bed and I come down and make my coffee, and Hugo's in bed shouting, "Dad, make me a pancake," and I'm just like,
I have to make bloody pancakes in the morning as well.
There's times where I'm like, more times now where I'm like, "You're doing a good job, kid."
Yeah.
Like, just keep going. I think human behaviour is we're too hard on ourselves, and we're not willing to give ourselves enough praise or go on to do something and shout about it. Maybe because we're bothered about what people think, or
Possibly.
we don't believe that we can go on and do these things. It's all about small steps. So I've had people in the past come to me going, "I want to be an author, I want to do this, but I don't really have the funds to do this at the moment. I can't do this." And I said, "Well, listen, this isn't a race. You have a vision. So it doesn't matter if it's a year or 5 years. Small steps, 1% every day. And in 5 years, you'll have your published book and you'll be like, I did it." And I always say it's about the journey. It's not about the destination. It's about the
Well, I
journey.
started the podcast because I wanted to write a book. And I didn't really know how to start. I'm not very good at that kind of pen to paper, blank page thing. So the podcast basically informed the book. It's it's an investigation and research into the experience of being widowed with 150 participants in the study. So
Wow.
I got there in a different way, and but by default, I ended up podcasting, which has become my job, and I love it, and it's a huge passion. So yeah, sometimes the path you take to get somewhere might not be the path you expected, but there's sometimes some
also
scenery
as
along
well,
the way.
there's something really strong about this as well. We have to take the strength to create a different direction and a choice, which then leads on to different decisions, which then ultimately opens up doors we never thought that they would open. You walk through one door, which is unknown. Guess what? There's another door there waiting for you that you never thought that you'd walk through or go through. And there's things I've done and gone on to achieve. And like recently, I was at a book launch party in London. I don't know if you're aware of her. She sits on the sofa. She does the BBC News, Naga Muchetti. So I was at a book launch party in London, a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, and I'm also in her book. Our story is in her book, representing maternal death, because she wrote a book called "It's Probably Nothing," and very much aimed at women and men also, but predominantly women. And I've read big parts of that book. It's very powerful. But these are the things that we can do, and we walk through one door, and then another door opens, and it's I've just done some really awesome things in the past, and again, I'm really proud of that. But at the same
Well, the
time,
sanctity of life, right? When somebody you love dies far, far too soon, you really want to kind of squeeze what you can out of life. It's a difficult thing to think about in the early days, but life is a gift, and we know that it can be taken away very suddenly.
And I think for me, like, even though I preserve my own energy and my own peace and the things that I juggle and have to do, I've always said this: if I can be the representation of an idea in someone's mind to go, wow, Ric's really inspired me, or Ric has really made me think a little bit different about where I am at the moment, or what I can do, or how I can think, that's awesome.
Well, Ric, I'm sure there will be plenty of people who have enjoyed listening to this episode. We will link all your books in the show notes, and also your podcast. And if you want to follow Ric on Instagram, it is, go on, Ric, you tell me.
Yeah, so I'm at Richard Hart 786. I've also got Real with Ric, the Widowed Warrior, and then I've also got Heart Health, Hot and Cold Therapy. But
And that's
those are the Instagram links are on my Richard Hart 786 anyway. That's my primary my primary page, really. So.
And thank you for coming on and talking to me today, because it is, obviously, it's a really tough thing to talk about, even 7 years on. And it's been incredible to get a different perspective on grief. And I think that it's very clear that you take enormous pride in the work that you've done. And I hope that you go on to do many more great things. And I wish you and Hugo the best as you traverse this thing we call life together.
And you. And,
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me on.
It's been a pleasure. And for anybody else out there who's listening, if you do want to get in touch with Ric, you can contact him on his Instagram, or you can contact him via me. But for now, it's a goodbye from me. It's a goodbye from Ric. I'll be back with you very soon with a new episode. You take care of yourselves out there. Lots of love. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening. If you found this episode helpful, hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you think someone else may benefit from this, please do share. We'd also really appreciate a quick review. It helps more people find the show. Thank you again, and see you next time on Widowed AF.